I do want to shift gears and talk about the midterm elections coming up. I want to turn to Georgia, which is on everyone's minds because less than 2 months out from the midterms. And at the center of the conversation among many, black men. That rarely happens. And I want to center black men today. Right now, we could be looking at a split ticket. Senator Raphael Warnock is leading in his race against Herschel Walker, but Stacey Abrams is behind Governor Kemp. Now, Abrams says if black men vote for her, she'll win. But the math ain't really math in there. And I know Roland has a lot of thoughts about that. I want to bring into the conversation Cliff Albright. He's the co-founder of Black Voters Matter Fund. And Terrance Woodbury. He's a Democratic pollster and CEO and founding partner of Hitch Strategies. Cliff, I do want to start with you since you're on ground there in Georgia. We'll get to the debate between Walker and Warnock in a second. But just being on ground there, Cliff, what do you make of that? Like, are black men large in number enough to decide this race for Stacey Abrams? Or is this just a headline that's, more yellow journalism and sensationalism than truth?
Yeah, good morning, Tiffany. Great to be here with you. Obviously, black males, black men voters make up enough of a block where we can be a part of what the difference is. And we got to keep in mind, we're talking about a state where in the presidential election in 20, the difference was famously those 11,700 votes that Trump was trying to find someplace. So in a situation like that, yeah, black men as a voting bloc can be a big part of the equation. And, whether or not they come out, we come out, black men in Georgia come out and support Stacey at the same rate that black women do is a legitimate question. Now, certainly black men aren't going to bear the brunt of what happens in this election on their own, no more than black women should bear the brunt of it. Some white folks could have to wake up and actually do the right thing in the state if they wanted to move forward. But I think that it is smart to raise this issue because at the end of the day, and we hate to admit it, but there is some number of black men that will just refuse to vote. It's the sexism, it's the patriarchy that just refused to vote for a woman, whether that woman is Stacey Abrams or whether it was Hillary Clinton in 16. And that's an issue that we have to address. Again, that's not the majority of us. It's not a plurality of us, but we have to address that. And we have to be willing to call that out and call it what it is.
Yeah. Well, Terrance, you're on ground doing work, doing polling there. And so I think Cliff raises a really good point, which I want to dig into. But Terrance, I want to ask you just for the math part, because I don't know that it's fair to lay this at the feet of black men and say, yeah, you guys cost us the election, because black men overwhelmingly vote Democratic. And so as a pollster, I'm curious your take on this conversation around black male voters in Georgia.
Yeah, thank you for that, Tiffany. The truth is that the Democratic support gap between men and women is not unique to black voters. There's a gender gap amongst all voters where men are more likely to vote conservative. Now, when you look at the math here, Stacey Abrams lost in 2018 by 55,000 votes. Had black men voted for Stacey Abrams at the same rate as black women, she would have had 120,000 more votes. So there is math there. The challenge is that since 2018, Republicans have doubled down on their efforts, coordinated and expensive investments, targeting black men, targeting men of color. And in 2020, we saw Donald Trump double his margins amongst black men in Georgia, a difference of 370,000 votes. The gap between black men and black women was the difference of 370,000 votes in Georgia. And so we do have to close that gap. And while that is not unique to black men, and we see that gap amongst all men of color, the difference with black men is that they were Democratic voters. These were Obama voters. And some would argue that they were only Obama voters. They were never, in fact, Democratic voters. And that is where Democrats have work to do to prove that since 2020, they have made progress on the issues that matter most to black men, and that they have a plan for black men moving forward.
All right. So Cliff mentioned Hillary Clinton. Terrance talked about Obama. We have to take this thing back a decade. Mm-hmm. Okay. Why am I wearing this shirt? It's my alpha shirt. First of all, we vote, but here's why. Black men are the second most loyal voting bloc of the Democratic Party. Who's number one? Black women. Mm-hmm. So let's just be real clear who black men are voting for. In 2012, there was a 9-point gap between black men and black women, Obama-Romney. So people try to make this out to be about totally sexism. That's not true. There were two men running and black men. Black men were not happy with Obama. They felt he should have done more because on the issue of economics, on criminal justice, and no things along those lines. And so what then happens? You go to 16, now it's a 13-point gap. You go to 20, now it expands. But here's a race people ignore, and Terrance knows this as well. Tom Tillis, the architect of voter suppression in North Carolina, was getting around 18% as well. Why? Because Democrats were ignoring that constituency. Black women also organized and mobilized to force the Democratic Party to pay more attention to them. In many cases, black men within the party have not actually done that. So what you're seeing are black men who are saying, you're not paying attention to me. You're ignoring what's happening when it comes to economics. You're ignoring me when it comes to the critical issues. And so what the Democratic Party has not done is create a specific strategy to target those individuals because it comes down to numbers. Warnock beat Kelly Loeffler by less than 100,000 votes. And so you're the Democratic Party and you're just ignoring these numbers. What did Terrance just say? You are ignoring the potential to win. You should be trying to get every vote. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it out here because someone has to say it. The fundamental problem with the Democratic Party is that white strategists are controlling the money, are controlling the strategy.
Yeah.
Yes, African Americans are having input, but if you're trying to win, you better listen to black people. You better fund these initiatives. Otherwise, you're going to lose. And that gap is going to widen.
And fund candidates. Fund candidates. Instead of meddling around in Republican elections trying to put one over the other because you think they're easier to beat. Fund candidates.
But also off-year strategies.
Right.
You can't come talk to black men in the middle of September. The election is November. And I called it. They should have been doing this in January after Biden got inaugurated to build up a program so when elections come, now you properly prep.
And invest in black media, brother. We know that.
Black-owned media, not black-targeted.
Black-owned media.
Absolutely.
Cliff, listen, I think Roland made a really legitimate point here. I will say, you know, a lot of black men sometimes feel like they're ignored or they're put down, particularly sometimes even by black women in the media. So this is not that. But I do hear Roland's point that felt ignored. But you feel ignored, and then you go over to the other side. The oppressed feel oppressed. So then you go and try to align with the oppressor. So I'm not putting black men down, but sometimes it's like, well, some of you Kevin Samuels following Tariq Nasheed quoting people, please look at the truth and see what's happening and get in line with some of the black women. Is majority, like he said, vote Democrat. But that margin of people who can be plucked away from your people and go advance policies that harm your people, I just don't understand that.
Yeah, and you've got three things that wind up happening. And first, let me shout out, you know, as Roland mentioned, his Alpha Phi Alpha shirt. You know, we've got a program where we reach out to Divine Nine, and AFIA has been one of the organizations that was most aggressive at getting involved, like answering the call and reaching out to black men to mobilize voters back in 20 and 21, and we expect to do the same this year. But you know, to your question, you see 2 or 3 different possible responses when you've got this issue about black men and to what extent we feel ignored and to what extent the candidates in the party are addressing our issues. One is that we just stay home, right, which is what you were kind of talking about. The other is that we actually come out and we vote for the opponent who we know isn't doing us any good, right? In this case, that would be voting for Kemp. But there's this other option, and that's what some of these polls are getting at, is that you see some that are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna vote for Warnock. But in that gubernatorial race, oh, I'm not really feeling Stacey Abrams or Kemp, right? And some of them will be honest. I've been in conversations with men, and some of it is faith-based. I've been in conversations with brothers that say, I just don't think a woman should be governor, right? I don't think a black woman should be governor. I don't think they were meant to be. I have had that conversation. But then you also get this other conversation from somebody who's like, oh, I don't know what it is about, you know, it's just something, you know, and they won't just come out and say what the issue is. So I think part of this is on the candidates to address our issues. And Stacey Abrams has a piece of her platform that specifically speaks to issues that black men care about. Roland mentioned a couple of them. And we care about economic stability, entrepreneurialism, all that. We care about police violence. So she has that in her agenda. But part of this isn't, we have to be honest, isn't going to be about her and her efforts and her policy to address our issues. There's a conversation that we've got to have